Everybody else has to be muted. Wait, just hold on a minute. Mute all. Yes. But
Good to go?
I think so. That one doesn't. Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning to you on Zoom. I must admit that I'm kind of missing Zoom because I don't get to see everybody's faces anymore, so good morning to you all. And to you. I have a short reading from Ernest Holmes for our Contemplative this morning. So I just invite you to get comfortable in your chairs. Take a couple of deep breaths. Close your eyes if that is comfortable. And let these words sink into your soul. And there will be a minute of silence afterwards. And then Jackson will take us into the invocation. Today, I accept my own affirmations. I have a deep inward sense, feeling, conviction, and complete faith that there is a power of good governing everything, everywhere. That it is governing completely, with absolute certainty, without deviation, without exception, and that there is nothing to oppose it, to change it, to limit, or circumscribe its action. I abandon myself to this faith, live in its atmosphere, and accept its conclusion. What else is there to say? We are the light of love, and we come together to celebrate our unity, our individuality, and our connection. We are one, and yet we are all separate in our own little ways. But I know that at the very heart, the very center of us, there is a connection. There is love, there is light, there is life. And so I celebrate that in each one of us. I bless each one of us, both that are here and that are attending on Zoom. And I know that we all have within us the faith to know that everything is in divine right order, to know that despite appearances, We are the light, we are the love, and we go forth sending this light and love out to each other, to our communities, and to the world. How powerful we are, and how filled with the light. And so I simply let this service unfold in the right and perfect way, knowing that there is no other way, and so it is.
You are the light of peace. I am the light of peace. You are the light, I am the light. We are the
And so now I welcome Reverend Angelica up to the podium, and yay!
Thank you, Susan and Jackson. That was very, very good. Very good. So this morning's subject is have faith in what will be. We've been on this journey for a while, all of this year actually, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But first we're going to look at something that's in our global vision. We see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other, a world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. I love this whole idea of living in alignment with spiritual principle. And you notice it says with his or her highest spiritual principle, which means that everybody here in this room and everybody on Zoom is living according to their idea or their perception of the highest spiritual principle for them. I thought about this a while ago where I realized how many different ideas of God we have here. How many different ideas we have in with the Zoomers. How many different ideas of what truth is. How many different ideas of what it really means to live in alignment with spiritual principle. And that's one of the things I love about the science of mind, is that it is a very individual teaching. I don't have to think the way you do. You don't have to think the way I do. We all want to think in the highest form possible, but it's going to be different. So these are the subjects that we had for this year. And when I was looking at them the other day, I thought, this is an adventure that we have been on this year. So we started out looking at timeless wisdom and using, January is always the time when we look at our spiritual principles, the basic ideas of the science of mind. And we decided in January to have a more evolutionary vision. And then in February, we realized that we're all on one journey, but there's many paths to that journey. Each one of us has our own path. And in March, we opened ourselves up to more possibilities. In April, we realized we were really stepping into the unknown. May is that holy, holy uprising. That sounds fun to me. And it's also spring, which is my favorite time of year. In June, we allowed ourselves to be open to the soul's call. In July, we realized that we're each being pulled by a vision, our own individual visions. In August, summer. That's the time you take a pause. You try to rest and relax. And what we're always doing is pausing for guidance. In September, we decided to reach higher. In October, we decided to go further together. In November, we took a break and decided to breathe in the view and practice gratitude. And now this month, we're realizing that what comes next is a journey of becoming. So for me, December is about celebration of all of the ideas that we've incorporated into our own particular spiritual path, but it's also a look at what are the possibilities of 2022. So Llewellyn Van Lee wrote this quote that I really like. He says, "There is action to be taken in the outer world, but it must be action that comes from a reconnection with the sacred. Otherwise, we'll just be reconstellating the patterns that have created the imbalance." And I like this because many of you, like me, have looked out at the world and thought, what the heck is going on here? Why are we experiencing the hatred, the division, all the different things that are happening out there? And we realize that in order for us to do something about it, which is, I know for myself, I want to do something about it, and some of you have said, what could I do about it? We have to really reconnect with the sacred. This is the only way, I believe, we're going to move into that higher place. So my ideas are when we surrender to the presence and power of divine love within, anything is possible. I'm sure I've told you the story before about a story that didn't happen to me, but happened to a Christian minister on the Big Island, where he had been praying quite fervently for a young girl who was very ill, and nobody could figure out why this young girl was very ill. And at one point, her mother is taking her to the doctor once again, and the doctors have basically said that she was just sort of wasting away. They didn't think she was going to live very long. And so, of course, the mother was very upset, and she stops by this pastor's office on her way to the hospital. And he did not know what to do when the mother told him what the doctors had said. And all he could think of was going out to the car where she was laying in the back seat and grabbing her up in his arms. And he got into the car and held her and loved her and loved her and loved her. And of course did prayer for her. But that love, he could feel it like moving from spirit through him into this little girl as he was holding her. And he said it was an amazing experience for him. He had never felt that before. And after a few hours, this was finished. He basically said goodbye to her. They went to the hospital, the mother and the little girl, and overnight, all of a sudden, all her signs, her vital signs and everything came up. All of a sudden she had rosy cheeks again instead of the pallor that she had had. All of a sudden she was well. And when I heard this, I remembered this thing that I've thought for a long time, is that love is the greatest healing power in our universe. Love is the greatest healing power. So we have to surrender to this presence and power of divine love within us, because when we do, anything is possible. When we listen for and surrender to inner guidance, we receive exactly what we need. Following it with faith instead of questioning and resisting it moves us to powerful and healing action in our lives, in the lives of the people that we're working with, in our greater community, being the world. This healing action must extend itself into the world beyond the self. We must serve humanity in the greater good, for the inner is the outer, and the one, the self, is the other. oneness is the real thing. And to me, love is the energy in that oneness. The divine energy in that oneness. So I've been studying with a man named Master Chun-Yi-Lin, who does Spring Force Qigong for a couple of years. And I love this. I grabbed it off his website a few years ago and found it last night. He says, you are a universe, large and small. What happens outside on the large scale is the same as what happens on the inside on a smaller scale. The life inside you and outside of you is one. And we don't believe that. We think everything that's happening out there is separate from us. But the truth is, it's all one life. There's only one life, that divine life that permeates, that sustains, that supports, that creates absolutely everything that there is. So that one life is out here, and it's in here. That one life is in our country, and it's in here. That one life is in our planet, and it's in here. It's the same life. So if you have done, like I have, railed at the news or used some expletives when you've heard things, what are you really doing? If there's only this one life, we're actually perpetuating that's out there by doing that. So how can we love absolutely everything that's happening? For me, the only thing I could think of is that I have to look at it as something is readjusting itself. Something is rebalancing itself. And it doesn't look pretty. And I know that you've had that in your own life, where you've had experiences that did not look pretty. But once you were done with them, and probably a year or two later, you could look back and go, oh wow, if that hadn't happened, I would never be doing this. So instead of cursing people and politics and events and all of that, I think that we need to take a breath and just push love out of ourselves into them. See it just moving out. Use that energy to help. So I have a couple of ideas here. One, we have to really reflect on what our personal control is. And so I ask myself, what do I really have control over? I could say, well, I have control over my life. But do I 100%? Do you? No. You never know what's going to happen. So what fear do we have about letting go of control? Because you see, I think that control, our need to control, is keeping us from really surrendering to Spirit. And so what fear do we have about letting go of control? Well, I've thought about that myself, and I thought, well, geez, if I didn't control anything could happen. And I used to think that in a way that was, oh, something bad will happen to me. But now I'm starting to think, wow, anything could happen. Let's let the universe give me more love notes. Let's see what greater good can show up in my life because I'm letting go of controlling what is. We've been taught as little kids the power of no. But I think we need to learn the power of no in this idea of managing our thinking. When I start going down that negative place thinking, oh, this bad thing is going to happen, or that bad thing, or they're not going to like me, or whatever I might be thinking, I need to stamp my foot and go, no, that's not my truth. My truth is that I don't need to be in control of everything because the universe is in control. Now, I want you to think of an effect that you've had, an effect you've felt when you've tried to have control of someone or something. Yeah, I know just what you're thinking. Some people might think, well, the science of mind teaches you, to pay attention to what you're thinking, etc. And if you want parking spaces or the right and perfect mate or more money in your life or all these different things, then you just start thinking in that direction and the universe will bring it to you. And so how does letting go of control work with that? Well, see, I think that we teach you all that stuff at the beginning, how to do material things in life, so that you realize you have the power to do it. And then they just start coming in. But I think if there's a point where we have to let go of that. And we don't need to manifest stuff anymore because it's going to manifest anyway. We say, though, we move into a place of surrendering to Spirit and knowing that God will only give us good if that's where my thoughts are directed. I just love the idea of thinking, wow, what's going to happen next? Because divine surprises show up. They could be little ones, they could be big ones, it doesn't matter. But I will tell you this, you have to acknowledge them. When those divine surprises show up, acknowledge them and be grateful for them because that's how you get more. So this is my job for us to help us move into a new space in 2022. The 2 in numerology is the number of cooperation, the number of relationship, the number of knowing that you're not in this yourself. That in truth, there is, it's actually a 1. That's the only number there really is a 1. We're all part of the 1. But this idea of letting the divine in more deeply, to me, it's become so important in my own life. When we become still and listen long enough, we'll hear the voice of the heart. Do you know there is a heart that you have that you might think, oh, I don't know if I want to listen to my heart because I was hurt. Something bad happened and it's still in there. Well, behind that heart is a global heart. A heart that I can just imagine in my mind is wrapping its arms around our heart and saying, it's okay. Things are going to be all right. Allow yourself to stand in the silence or stand in the stillness so that you can really embody that idea that every cell and atom of this body is the divine energy, coalesced to be you. Every cell and atom of everything, everyone, is divine energy. And so I ask you, are you willing to be still long enough to wait, to move away from the surface of your mind? And I asked you that, when I wrote that, I was writing it in my journal and asking myself that. And then my phone bings. So I get up and I go to see who texted me. And then, I finish with the text and I'm off to see what's on Facebook. And then got to check the mail and, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to be still. We get so easily distracted. But there's ways that you can be still and still be moving. Like go into the forest. I am so into trees. Trees have been, especially the trees around here, they've been here centuries longer than we have. They've been embodied. They think much slower than we do, if you've ever felt a tree's energy. But the energy is so powerful. So go out into Sequoia Park, go for a walk, and let yourself not say anything or get distracted by the dogs that are walking by or anything like that. Just allow yourself to breathe in that air and look up at the trees. Feel the power of nature. That's one way to move away from the distractions. But it is a practice. You definitely have to train yourself to do it because we've trained ourselves to be distracted. We think multitasking is a good thing. And it's not anymore. Not at all. Dr. Holmes says, all the power of the universe is with you. Feel it, know it, and then act as if it were true. All the power of the universe is right in here. Let yourself start believing this. Act as if it was true. My last one is live from faith and surrender to your own divinity, your essential nature. I firmly believe in following my intuition. Does anybody else? I figured out a long time ago from reading books about saints and sages and all that, who said that if they could really hear the voice of the divine, it would cause you to go crazy. It would be too loud, too much. However, it's like the universe said, oh, I got it, and they implanted in us a device. This is how I think about the intuition. The intuition device takes that voice of the divine, which is infinite, and brings it down into our particular radio station or whatever you might call it, our particular way to experience it. It brings it down so we will understand it, so we can hear it clearly, etc. And what are we taught as kids? Oh, your intuition doesn't mean anything. You have to use your mind. Well, yes, use your mind to listen to your intuition. So I'm saying to you, follow your inner guidance more and more. It can be trusted. Let yourself really follow your inner guidance. I've read so many stories lately about people that had a thought as they were doing something, and well, I'm going to tell a story about Louise Mucha. I don't think she's on here today because she's driving home. But she called me last night and we were talking, and she was staying in this little town in, I don't know. The hotel is really old, and she loved it. She thought it was just darling. And she loved the quietness of it, and she had stayed there before. She knew they had really good beds there. You know, she was quite excited about her quiet night in this hotel. And the next thing she knows is she hears all this music and laughter and clapping and all these things. And she looks out her window, which looks over the courtyard, and there's a wedding going on with a reception with loud music. And first she starts to get really upset about it. You know, I told that guy down at the desk I wanted a quiet room, etc., etc. She starts to get all upset about it. And then something came over her, and she thought, oh, I don't want to be in this mindset. I want to acknowledge these people's love. And she ended up getting one of the paper cups in her room and writing all these really neat words all over the cup. And she put some candies in it, and it said something about really trust this moment, this moment of love, let it carry you through the rest of your lives, and did all that. And then she snuck downstairs, and she wanted to just throw it over she wrapped it all up. She wanted to just throw it over the hedge there, but she got seen. And one of the bridesmaids saw it, picked it up, took it over to the bride and groom, and it became part of their wedding video. And they were so impressed by all the beautiful blessings that she had written all over the cup. They thought it was such a unique experience. So she followed her inner guidance, right? She had made a decision that she didn't want to be one that complained. She wanted to be one that loved. And so when she found herself complaining, she stopped it and shifted, pivoted, as they say nowadays, and allowed herself to do something fun that the bride and groom and the whole wedding party really appreciated. I mean, I'm sure, can't you just see these people 30 years from now at their 30th wedding anniversary going, and there was this weird woman that threw this cup over into our space while we were celebrating, and then when we opened it, oh my gosh, it had all these blessings written all over it. I could just see it. So we want to move into action from truth within, not reaction. So this is what our idea for this week is to accept what is, let go of what was, and always have faith in what will be. And choose what you want, that what will be. I want more laughter, more joy, more fun, more love, more grace. You can pick your own words. But we need to accept what's happening right now. Yes, we're living in a pandemic. Yes, we're having all these restrictions put upon us because of the situation. Okay, it is what it is. Make the best of it. And we have to let go of the life that we had 2 years ago before the pandemic. I mean, I've thought many times about how, I think right before we had to shut down, we had like 70 people in here. And I was so jazzed because the congregation was growing and it felt so good and the music was so wonderful and everything. And then, we had to close down and things shrunk again. But I have faith in what will be. We will get through this. And we will get through it because of who we are, with stories of blessings, wonderful things that happened in our lives. So here's our affirmation to say together. As I connect to the light that is deep within me, I know it always guides me to my greater good, and I follow its lead. And thank you to Catherine Kane from Hawaii for doing our affirmations for us this month. But before, we're going to go into treatment, and then Jeff and Rick are going to play some music for us. How wonderful it is to know that it only gets better. Spirit in us as us is more than willing to create even better experiences, more powerful experiences. And so I know for each one of us that we allow ourselves this month to celebrate life, light, to celebrate it all, and to take the divine deep within us, our conscious awareness of the divine deep within us, and to know that good is our nature. Good is the nature of the divine. So I declare for each one of us that this is a month of celebration, just as it is a month of stillness, of honoring Spirit in all of the many forms it's come through. I know for each one of us that we let ourselves feel the love. We are the beloved. We let ourselves feel it more than we ever have before. And we let ourselves share it more than we ever have before. And I know that love is the greatest healing agent in the universe. So if there's something in our lives, or someone we love's life, or the life of our country, the life of our planet, we love it. We love it into health. The truth is, it's already healthy. We've just covered it up with a bunch of stuff. So we let go, and we let the divine have its way with us, and it is good. Very good. And so it is. Ta-da! So let's welcome Rick and Jeff. They're doing music for us.
Well, we talked about surprises, right? So how many here like surprises? Okay, so Rick and I were surprised that we wore the same shirt. That's a surprise. How many like classical music?
Yay!
You're not going to like this. You may be surprised.
All right. So let's think about the offering that we're going to be sharing today. For those of us here in the sanctuary, we can put ours in the baskets back on the back table. And for those of you who are Zooming, you can, mail it, etc., which I'll show you the screen again in a moment. So let's say this together. I give my gift with great blessings to uplift, enlighten, and reveal new possibilities for everyone. It is evidence of my belief in our infinite abundance, and so it is. So let's just know that we can give thanks to that one great life, that life that is absolutely everywhere, for showing up in our particular life in wonderful ways. So I know for these holidays that we allow ourselves to feel the abundance of the universe, because the universe is continually pouring down upon us great blessings. We're so grateful for this. And our center is grateful as well. And so we give thanks, and so it is. Who would like to come up and read the community? All right, Lori.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm so grateful everyone is here in person and in Zoom. We, the Eureka Center for Spiritual Living, are a community that celebrates diversity, fosters inclusion, champions inner work, and creates space for brave, vulnerable conversations. We are a community that honors the unique emanation of God that each person embodies and advocates with people for human rights and dignity for all. We are a community that blesses each other, sees sacredness in all life, remains learners and listeners so that we may grow together, and understands that oneness is not sameness. We know our beloved community is revealed more fully when we love each other well.
Thank you very much. Very good. So I want us to remember that our commitment to higher consciousness is a service to all the world. And so with that, we will stop the share, and let's see if we can see. Hi, Zoomers. I don't know how to turn, maybe I could turn this one around and see if you guys can see the.
This might be right.
You what?
It's mine. Show my friend.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. Oh well, there's people here just like there's people there. Thank you so much for being here this morning. So we appreciate seeing you online. Everybody can see you because you're up on the big screen. Oh, there we go. Marvin put some of you up there. Yay! Thank you, thank you. Have a very, very good week. I know we all will. I'm looking at your picture up there on the screen. Yay! Good. All right, so thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to shut us down, unless you want to hear music. Let's see if we can get them in there. right, everybody, have a good week. Thank you very much for being here this morning. I'm shutting it down.